Ladies and gentlemen, we all face challenges in life. In fact, trials are a part of the human experience. But have you ever considered that these trials, these struggles, these painful moments might be the very thing God is using to shape you into the person He created you to be? I want to speak to you today about embracing the process of spiritual growth through trials. Because spiritual growth doesn't happen in the easy moments. It doesn't happen when things are going perfectly. It happens when you face adversity and decide to trust God through the process. It happens when you learn that God is not trying to break you, but He's preparing you for something greater. You see, trials are not punishments. They are divine opportunities for growth. God in His wisdom allows these trials to refine us, to mold us, and to shape us into His image. And while it's hard to understand in the moment, when you look back, you will see how the hardest times of your life were the very times that drew you closer to your destiny. You may be facing trials right now, wondering why it's happening, asking where God is in the middle of it. But I'm here to tell you today that God is right there in the midst of it, working through you, refining you and preparing you for something greater. One of the most powerful aspects of spiritual growth is perseverance. It's easy to walk away when things get tough, to give up when we feel like we can't take any more. But it's through perseverance that we grow. Perseverance teaches us to stand firm in faith even when we don't see the way forward. It teaches us that our strength is not in our ability to control situations, but in our ability to keep going, to keep trusting, and to keep believing in God's promises. The challenges we face are not meant to destroy us. They are meant to develop us, to give us the strength to rise again after we fall. But there's something important to remember. Spiritual growth does not happen overnight. It's a process. And it's a process that happens according to God's perfect timing, not ours. It's in those quiet moments of waiting that God is preparing us, refining us, teaching us patience and trust. We may want things to happen right now, but God knows that the process is necessary for us to fully understand the magnitude of what He is doing in our lives. When we trust in God's timing, when we learn to be still in the storm, that's when we see His perfect will unfold before us. One of the most beautiful things about trials is how they draw us closer to God. When we are at our lowest, when we are broken, we find ourselves seeking God with a deeper intensity. Our relationship with Him becomes more intimate. In the midst of struggle, we learn to rely on Him more fully. We pray with more sincerity, we seek His wisdom with more urgency, and we listen to His voice with more clarity. It's during these times that we come to know Him more personally. And as we grow in our relationship with God, we begin to see that He has been walking beside us all along, guiding us through every storm, every trial, and every difficulty. Finally, I want to remind you that the fruit of trials is transformation. Every trial you endure, every challenge you face shapes you, refines you, and makes you more like the person God created you to be. And that transformation doesn't just benefit you, it's also meant to help others. The testimony that you gain from your trials is the very thing that will encourage someone else. When you come out on the other side, stronger and more refined, you will have a story to tell, a story of God's faithfulness, of His provision, and of His unshakable love. And that testimony will be the beacon of hope for others who are walking through their own struggles. So I encourage you today, don't run from the trials you face. Don't shrink back when the pressure builds. Embrace the process, trust in God's plan, and allow Him to shape you through it all. You are not defined by your trials, you are refined by them. And when you come through, you'll be a living testimony of God's power to turn struggles into strength and pain into purpose. Trust the process, for through it you will emerge as the person God has always intended you to be. There is something profound about the trials we face in life. We often see them as obstacles, burdens, or challenges that we wish we could avoid. We wonder why we must endure hardships, why we must experience pain, frustration, and loss. But what if I told you that these trials are not just inconveniences in our lives? What if I told you that they are, in fact, a crucial part of the spiritual growth process? Yes, that's right. The very trials that seem to break us are the same ones that shape us into who we were always meant to be. You see, trials are not random, nor are they designed to defeat us. They are purposeful. God allows them into our lives to refine us, to strengthen us, and to prepare us for greater things. Too often, we focus on the difficulty of the moment, and in doing so, we miss the potential for growth that lies beneath the surface. But in the midst of our struggles, there is a divine purpose. These trials are opportunities for us to stretch beyond our limits, to build our character, and to deepen our faith. They challenge us to trust God in ways we never would have without them. The purpose of trials and spiritual growth is to teach us lessons that comfort and success cannot. Comfort can lull us into a false sense of security, a state where we think we have everything figured out. But it's in the discomfort, in the storms of life, that we are reminded of our dependence on God. It is in our struggles that we learn to lean on Him fully, to trust Him completely, and to seek His guidance with an urgency we often neglect in times of peace. Our faith is tested, refined, and proven in the fire of trials, and it is through this process that we grow closer to the God who knows us intimately, who loves us fiercely, and who desires to see us thrive. Think about the process of refining gold. A miner doesn't simply find gold and call it valuable. He takes it through fire, melting it down, separating the impurities from the pure metal. This process is painful, but it's necessary to bring out the true value of the gold. The same is true for us. In the heat of our trials, God is refining us, removing the impurities, the pride, the fear, the doubt, and anything else that would prevent us from becoming the person He designed us to be. It's not easy, it's not always comfortable, but it's always necessary. And just like gold, we emerge from the fire stronger, purer, and more valuable than we were before. Another vital purpose of trials is to cultivate patience. We live in a world that values instant gratification. We want things to happen on our time, and we struggle with waiting. But God knows that patience is not just a virtue, it's a necessary part of our spiritual growth. Trials teach us the power of waiting, of trusting God when we can't see the end of the road, of holding on to faith when everything around us seems uncertain. Patience develops endurance, and endurance strengthens our character. We become more resilient, more steadfast, and more capable of handling the challenges that lie ahead. Trials also reveal the strength of our character. When everything is going well, it's easy to be calm, to act with integrity, and to be generous. But when life throws us a curveball, when things are difficult and stressful, that's when our true character is exposed. In those moments, we have a choice. We can choose to react in frustration, bitterness, or anger, or we can choose to respond with grace, patience, and faith. The way we navigate trials shows us who we truly are, and it's through those struggles that we can grow into the person God intends for us to become. Perhaps the most profound purpose of trials is that they draw us closer to God. In times of struggle, we become more aware of our need for Him. We recognize that we are not in control, that our strength alone is insufficient to carry us through. We learn to surrender our fears, our anxieties, and our pain to God, allowing Him to carry us through. Trials bring us to our knees, and in that posture, we find God's strength, His peace, and His love in a way that we never could in times of ease. The more we experience His presence in our pain, the deeper our relationship with Him grows. So the next time you face a trial, don't see it as something to avoid or fear. See it as a moment of divine opportunity. Know that in that moment, God is working in you, refining you, and preparing you for something greater. Trials are not punishments, they are the tools of transformation. Embrace the process, trust in God's purpose, and allow yourself to be shaped into the person you were always meant to be. Through it all, remember that God is with you, guiding you and leading you to a place of greater strength, greater faith, and greater purpose. Perseverance is more than just a quality, it's the essence of success. It's not about how fast you go or how smooth the journey is, it's about your ability to keep going no matter how many obstacles stand in your way. Life will throw challenges at you, that's inevitable. But what truly matters is your response to those challenges. Will you rise up? Will you keep fighting? Or will you be consumed by the weight of hardship? This is where perseverance reveals its true power. You see, the world often rewards those who keep pushing forward. It doesn't always matter how many times you fall. What matters is how many times you rise. Those who persevere don't stop when they face a setback. They see the setback as a lesson, an opportunity to grow stronger, to refine their skills, and to come back better. It's not just about enduring the storm, it's about learning how to dance in the rain, how to grow in the midst of adversity. Every time you face a challenge and decide to keep moving forward, you are building a muscle. The muscle of persistence, of determination, of belief in yourself and in your purpose. The road to success isn't always easy. In fact, it's rarely easy. The path is often filled with doubt, fear, and obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. But it's through perseverance that you unlock your true potential. When you choose to keep going despite the odds, you're telling the world that you're not backing down. You're not going to let fear, failure, or frustration stop you from reaching your goal. Every time you push past the urge to quit, you take one more step closer to the person you are meant to become. You become stronger, wiser, and more resilient with each step. There will be moments when everything seems impossible. You will be tempted to give up, to throw in the towel, to say, this is too much, but I want you to remember this. It's in those moments when the world is pushing you down that perseverance is born. When you feel the urge to quit, that's the very moment you need to dig deeper and find the strength to push forward. Because on the other side of that struggle, on the other side of that pain is your breakthrough. You cannot afford to stop now. Every great achievement in history was accomplished by those who refused to quit. They endured. They kept going when it seemed like all hope was lost. They understood that perseverance is the bridge between where they were and where they wanted to be. It's the belief that no matter how tough it gets, the dream is worth the fight. Perseverance is the mark of those who believe in themselves and in their purpose. When you persevere, you are telling yourself that you are worthy of success, that your dream is worth every drop of sweat, every sacrifice, and every moment of hardship. And when you choose to keep moving forward, even when it's hard, you show the world that you are not defined by your circumstances. You are defined by your will to succeed, by your belief that you can overcome any challenge life throws at you. This is the power of perseverance. It is the quiet strength that keeps you moving when others quit. It's the resilience that allows you to rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. And in the end, it's the perseverance that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. So don't stop. Keep going. The world is waiting for you to prove that perseverance is the key that unlocks all doors. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a profound truth in life that many of us struggle to understand. God's timing is perfect and His process is always intentional. We often find ourselves in a hurry, wanting things to happen on our terms, according to our plans and within our timelines. But I am here to tell you today, if you truly want to experience the fullness of God's purpose for your life, you must learn to trust His timing and embrace His process. God has a way of leading us down paths that we might not choose for ourselves. There are times when the road seems long and uncertain, when the dream seems distant, and when everything around us screams that we should hurry up, that we should move faster, that we should get to the end result. But what we fail to see in those moments is that God is working in the waiting. He is preparing us for what is to come. The struggles we face, the delays and the detours, they are all part of a divine plan that we may not fully understand, but we must trust. Think about it. God is not bound by time. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end of everything. He knows what's best for us and what we need to grow. When we trust in His timing, we release the pressure to control the outcome. We stop rushing ahead and start aligning ourselves with His perfect will. And in doing so, we create the space for our character to be shaped, our faith to grow, and our capacity to handle the blessings He is preparing to pour into our lives. Trusting God's process doesn't mean sitting idly by, waiting for things to magically fall into place. No, it means doing the work, stepping out in faith, and persevering through the challenges, while knowing that each step is part of the bigger picture. Sometimes the things we experience seem like setbacks, but I promise you, they are just setups for something greater. God is never in a rush. He is never working on a timetable that reflects our limited understanding of time. His process is always methodical and purposeful. The trials we go through are not random. They are carefully crafted experiences designed to refine us, to build us up, and to prepare us for the life we were meant to live. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you question whether the process is really worth it. There will be days when the road seems too long and the finish line feels out of reach. But I urge you to keep trusting, keep believing, keep moving forward with the understanding that God's plan is bigger than you can comprehend. The delays you face today are not denials, and the obstacles you encounter are not roadblocks. They are simply steps in the process that will refine your character and bring you closer to your destiny. When we learn to trust God's timing, we no longer have to worry about what others are doing or how quickly things are happening around us. Our peace comes from knowing that God is in control, that He is guiding us step by step, and that He has already mapped out the path that leads to our purpose. And when the time is right, when we are fully prepared, He will open the doors we need to walk through, and we will step into the fulfillment of the dreams He has placed within us. So today I encourage you to let go of your need to rush. Surrender the timelines you've created for your life and trust God's perfect timing. Know that as you walk through the process, He is shaping you, preparing you, and positioning you for something far greater than you can imagine. Trust in His timing, trust in His process, and watch as your life unfolds in the most miraculous and unexpected ways. When you align yourself with God's timing, the wait is never wasted. The journey is the destination. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. When the storms of life hit, when trials and tribulations come your way, where do you turn? Where do you find your strength? Do you look within yourself? Or do you reach out to God knowing that He is your anchor in the storm? Life has a way of bringing us to our knees. It has a way of shaking us to our core, testing the very foundation upon which we stand. But in the midst of these trials, we have an incredible opportunity to develop a deeper relationship with God. It's easy to seek God when everything is going well, when the sun is shining and our lives seem to be in perfect order. But what happens when the storms come? What happens when we face circumstances that seem overwhelming? It's in those moments of struggle that our relationship with God is truly tested. And it's also where it can be strengthened the most. When trials come, we have a choice to either run from God in fear or to draw closer to Him in faith. And it's in that choice that we grow. In times of trial, we are forced to confront the things we've been avoiding. We are forced to face the places in our hearts that need healing, the areas of our lives where we need to surrender to God's will. Trials have a way of bringing us face to face with ourselves, stripping away our pride, our self-sufficiency, and our illusions of control. And in that moment of vulnerability, we discover the depth of God's grace and the power of His presence. We realize that He is not only a God of comfort in times of peace, but a God of refuge in times of distress. The beauty of trials is that they deepen our dependence on God. When things are going well, we may feel self-sufficient, like we can handle life on our own. But trials strip us of that illusion and remind us that we are not in control. It's in these moments of surrender that we experience God in ways we never could before. We learn to lean on Him, to trust in His timing, and to seek His wisdom. And as we do, we find that He is always faithful. We find that His love never fails, His peace never falters, and His strength is always sufficient for our weakness. Through trials, we begin to understand that our relationship with God is not one of convenience, it's one of necessity. We need Him. We need His guidance, we need His strength, we need His comfort. And when we seek Him in our trials, we experience Him more deeply than ever before. We begin to understand that He is not just the God of the mountaintops, but the God who walks with us through the valleys. We begin to see that our pain is not wasted. It is used to refine us, to shape us, and to make us more like Christ. It's also in these moments of trial that we come to appreciate the power of prayer. When we are in the midst of struggle, our prayers become more sincere, more urgent, more real. We pour out our hearts before God, seeking His guidance, His help, His intervention. And in that place of humility and dependence, we find that God listens. He hears us, He responds. And through those moments of intimate conversation with our Creator, our relationship with Him deepens. We begin to experience a closeness to God that we may not have known was possible. In the process of developing a deeper relationship with God through trials, we are also learning to trust His character. We begin to understand that no matter how dark the night may seem, God is always good. No matter how difficult the journey, He is always faithful. No matter how painful the process, He is always with us. And it's through this trust that we find peace in the midst of the storm. We find comfort in knowing that God is not distant or uncaring, but that He is with us, guiding us, holding us, and walking beside us every step of the way. So when trials come, and they will come, remember that they are not the end of the story. They are the beginning of a deeper relationship with God. They are the beginning of a journey of surrender, of trust, and of growth. Embrace the process. Lean into God, seek His face, and you will find that He is always there, always faithful, and always ready to take you deeper into His presence. And in the end, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more intimately connected to the one who has been with you all along. I want you to remember these trials are not the end of the road. They are the pathway to something deeper, something more powerful. They are not here to destroy you, but to refine you, to bring you closer to God, and to strengthen your relationship with Him. When the storms of life hit, don't turn away from God. Turn toward Him. Seek His presence. Trust in His timing. And allow Him to mold you into the person He has called you to be. Through every struggle, every challenge, you have the opportunity to experience God in a way that you never could in times of comfort. So embrace the process, embrace the trials. And know that through it all, God is using each moment to deepen your relationship with Him, to shape you into a vessel for His purpose and to bring you into a deeper intimacy with your Creator. Keep pressing forward, for in the end, the growth that comes from these trials will reveal the fullness of God's grace and His unwavering love for you.